Apple's iPhone-centric 2023 fall event, it's the Wonderlust event, that's going to happen in just a few short days. And we've talked about the iPhone 15 and the Apple Watch Series 9 like a ton over the last few months. And I wish I could say this is the last time we're going to talk about it, but it'll be the last time we talk about it without actually like seeing the official reveal in, all of that in person. And so in this video, we're going to talk about, everything that you can expect to see next week. But let's start off with some of the stuff that we could possibly see at the event that we really haven't touched on a whole lot. We'll start with that first. And so we can expect to see some new AirPods Pros, but don't get excited. It's really just a new version of the AirPods Pro 2. And the only thing that's going to be different is that we expect Apple to update the charging case to now feature a USB-C port instead of Lightning. So if you already have AirPods 2, or AirPods Pro 2s, I probably wouldn't run out and buy these unless you really, really want a USB-C charging case. It's possible, because Apple has done this in the past, that there is just a separate charging case that you could buy. Probably be like $60 to $80, somewhere around there. So if you really want one, you could, but I just use MagSafe charging. So we can also expect to see some new iPhone cases. And this usually wouldn't be a topic that I'd talk about because it just seems kind of boring. But multiple sources have mentioned that Apple does not plan to manufacture leather cases for the iPhone 15 lineup, but will instead use more environmentally friendly material. And so there's a rumor that these new cases will be called the FineWoven case. And there have been some sketchy images of cases and boxes with that name on them. Not entirely sure if the name is accurate or not, but we feel pretty confident that Apple might be migrating away from the leather material and using something else. I'm not really sure what else, but using a different, more, environmentally friendly material. And so that'll be interesting to kind of keep our eyes open to see what they actually call those cases. Last but not least, in terms of possible announcements that we really haven't talked about a whole lot, the iPad could get a minor spec refresh. And I know I've been saying here, and a lot of people have been saying, that we aren't expecting any iPads to really be released in 2023, and most of those will be in 2024. But if one was to get announced and happen to come out in 2023, that would be the standard iPad. So last year we got the 10th gen, this year we'd get the 11th gen. They seem to happen on an annual basis. And so if an iPad does happen at this event, that's what would happen. All right, with all of that said, let's get to the main part of the event, and that is the iPhone 15 lineup. Apple will continue with its 4 iPhone lineup, and we'll get the two 6.1 and two 6.7 inch models. So iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro, and then what we assume will be called the iPhone 15 Pro Max, although I guess the Ultra name could make an appearance, but I'm still sticking with the Pro Max. So the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will look basically identical to the 14 and 14 Plus, with one major exception, and that is the USB-C port. We used to have a Lightning port for like the last 10 years, and now it's the USB-C's time to shine, and that'll be available across all models. And so now, if you have an iPhone, an iPad, and a Mac that has USB-C, your life is so much easier. You just have to carry one cable, and you can thank the regulatory changes that are going on in Europe for that, because Apple could, in theory, just make a separate version for the EU, but I think thankfully they're just realizing it's easier to make one version for the entire world. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will now adopt the dynamic island, which was actually the kind of surprise feature that happened last year, like right before the event, for the 14 Pro models. And so now this will be a standard feature across all iPhones. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will get the dynamic island, but you won't get the other premium display tech like ProMotion and always on display. So that'll just be just for the Pro models still. There's only one other small design change, which has to do with the glass back. In the past, for the non-pros, we have had the glossy glass, and now we're expecting the frosted glass. So all iPhones should have a frosted glass back. The camera on the standard iPhones will not have any new hardware in terms of like Apple creating a new sensor, but it will get the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max's 48 megapixel rear camera. There won't be any changes to it, but that'll migrate on down to the non-Pro models. And it's a great lens. And so super excited for those who are looking to get a 15 or 15 Plus. You're now going to get a nice sensor for your main camera. We can also expect to see new 5G modems from Qualcomm. That should improve the signal and better power efficiency and all that. And also the phones are expected to come in a few colors this year as usual, but we are expecting a blue, a coral, yellow, white, and black, with color matching USB-C braided cables possibly in the box as well. That's been a kind of a heavy rumor lately, and so we could see that. Now, most of the exciting new changes and feature additions this year are actually going to come to the Pro models. One of those new changes is that we are expecting a new titanium frame over the stainless steel that we've had in years past. So that should lead to a slightly different look and also a slightly different feel in the hands. And the design's going to change just a little bit to accommodate all that. It's going to be a little bit more rounded off, but not too crazy. The phone will also feature a new action button instead of that mute switch that we've had since the beginning of the iPhone, but now it'll be customizable, and so you can obviously mute your phone, but you can also change it to functions like a flashlight, camera, invoke a shortcut, and so much more. Obviously, the USB-C port will carry over. We're going to have that across all phones, but the USB-C port on the Pro models could perhaps be Thunderbolt speeds, and so you can get like up to 40 gigabytes per second in transfer speeds compared to, actually don't even know off the top of my head what it is, but it's a lot slower. And so if you're going to be using this phone for taking a lot of videos and transferring a lot of files from your phone to your Mac or something, this will actually help. Apple's also making minor improvements to the wide angle and telephoto cameras for both Pro models to boost low light performance, but the 48 megapixel camera isn't expected to see any other improvements. The 15 Pro Max will get the biggest new camera feature, which is a periscope zoom function for the telephoto lens. So optical zoom right now is at 3x. It's been like that for a long time, but with periscope lens, it'll now be at 5x or 6x zoom, which is obviously double and should be 2 times better. The Pro models are also expected to come in some pretty unexciting color options, in my opinion, which includes silver, space black, so those are 2 that we've had before, but now a new titanium gray and a dark blue, which looks a lot like the dark blue that we had for the iPhone 12, I believe it was. We can also see a $100 price hike across it was rumored to be all Pro models, starting at $1099 for the standard Pro and $1199 for the Pro Max, but now it's been reported that it might not be for the regular Pro. The regular Pro could start at $999, but the Pro Max will now be bumped up to $1199. Of course, we'll have to see in just a few short days what actually happens, but we are also expecting changes to the storage. So instead of 128, it'll now start at 256 and could max out at 2 terabytes. As for the Apple Watch Series 9, we aren't really expecting a whole lot of flashy new features or a whole lot of new features at all. The internal processor will get a massive upgrade, so new chip. It hasn't really been touched on in a few years, and so that'll help, but we aren't expecting a lot of other changes, no design changes or no new health-related features. There could be a new pink color option and maybe some different band types and materials there, but that's about it. And the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is also going to have minimal changes, aside from maybe just a darker color option. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of other changes there. And so if you are someone who doesn't have an Ultra and you want the darker color, then that's going to be a good upgrade for you. But otherwise, if you already have an Ultra, you probably shouldn't get this one unless you really want that darker color option. Apple's Wonderlust event will start at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, September 12th. Apple will live stream the event on its website. It's also already kind of up on YouTube as a placeholder, so you can go there and set it like a reminder and everything. Plus, the live stream will be available through the Apple TV app on supported devices. But if you can't watch it or do any of that, you can check out our live blog. You can check out the Mac Rumors Live Twitter account, but you can also just catch my recap after the event. I'll also hopefully have a hands-on with everything post-event, and you can get my thoughts with the devices in person and everything. But yeah, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss all of that. And we'll, of course, have a podcast going over everything as well, so follow that too. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.